Welcome, Spiritual Mag. My name's Sam Bell. Today we are going to focus on 7 foundational solutions for young Earth pilgrims. It's 7 baby steps, neurotheological imprinting by Sam Bell. Well, this is 7 prioritized foundational solutions for newborns up to age 12. And the emphasis is on healing, integration, and the birth of a higher consciousness society. Another way to look at it, it's the sacred threshold of early human development. In the linguistic and neurological arcs of human maturation, the first 12 years mark the emergence of executive function, language, self-regulation, and spiritual circuitry laying, and embodied neurotheological imprinting. Neurotheological imprinting in this context refers to spiritual beliefs and experiences becoming integrated into the brain's neural networks. Yet, let us not wax merely poetic. Let us situate this within the dual terrains of praxis and precept, a marriage of historical insight and contemporary cognitive science. As educators, parents, child development professionals, and spiritual leaders, seasoned by the final breath of many and the first cry of many more, I propose this: awakening our planetary society into higher consciousness is a journey that begins with us. It is not a distant goal, but a present reality that we can actively shape. It must start with how we touch, speak to, regulate, and honor our children's developing brains and souls. What follows are 7 interwoven solutions rooted in history, nourished by neuroscience, and animated by the quiet fire of the sacred, that have the potential to birth a planetary culture aligned with Mother Earth and the maturation of Christ's consciousness on this incarnate plane. These solutions not only offer a hopeful path towards a future where our children can grow harmoniously with their environment and spiritual potential, but also inspire optimism in the positive changes we can bring about. Before industrial technology modernized, numerous ancient cultures revered the child as a sacred bearer, a soul freshly arrived from the other side, imbued with memory, song, and latent telepathic potential. A sacred bearer in this context is a term that signifies the child's role as a spiritual entity carrying with them the essence of their origin and the potential for spiritual connection. The child was not a tabula rasa, but pre-existent soul, whose embodiment on earth was to be witnessed and shepherded. This respect echoes within early Christian Gnostic texts, sects, and Eastern monastic traditions. In such contexts, speech was understood not merely as expressive behavior, but as logos, the divine word incarnate. And so environmental language, tonality, and narrative, now validated by linguistic neuroplasticity, were sacraments. We are now rediscovering and returning to this ancient knowledge through science and spirituality. This rich heritage can inspire us in our modern approaches to child development. Number one, regenerative language environments. A neurotheological power of word. From birth, language exposure not only shapes Broca's and Wernicke's area, but modulates vagal tone, stress reactivity, and epigenetic activation of serotonin and oxytocin systems. For hospital-born infants, particularly in under-resourced environments, the auditory input is sterile, mechanical, and often traumatic. This has silent consequences. We must create regenerative language fields for young pilgrims, cadences that mirror the maternal womb tonalities, that emulate breath and prayer. In speech pathology, this aligns with prosodic entrainment and early phonological mapping. But spiritually, it's in the invocative of the word as medicine. Practical application: train caregivers in melodic intonation therapy principles for everyday use. Introduce multilingual exposure to broaden cortical flexibility. Cultivate intergenerational storytelling using ancestral myths. Digital augmentation is develop artificial intelligence companions that mimic the prosody and effective warmth of conscious caregivers. Employ immersive story worlds grounded in eco-conscious mythos. Second idea, emotional co-regulation as sacred dialogue, the ritual of touch and tone. Christ's consciousness begins in co-regulation, how the infant learns to soothe through another's nervous system. Many hospice workers and tribal midwives know safety is not taught cognitively, it is transmitted somatically. Historically, this was enacted through skin-to-skin rituals, lullabies, and communal holding. Today, these practices are being systematically eroded. Devices replace parents, and attunement becomes luxury. Yet without safe emotional co-regulation, children internalize a chaotic or fragmented universe. So the neuroscientific imperative is secure attachment calibrates default mode network activity and facilitates inner coherence. One more time. Secure attachment calibrates default mode network activity and facilitates inner coherence. Also, oxytocin surges during positive touch emulate future pro-social behavior. The solutions are return to daily rituals of shared breath, synchronized rocking, and eye gazing. Empower fathers, siblings, and elders to participate in co-regulatory bonds. Introduce guided co-regulation sessions via holographic or video recorded embodiment modules in modern or heavy tech environments. Third suggestion is cultivating meta-linguistic awareness, conscious thought about thought. By age 5, most children begin forming a theory of mind. This is the bedrock of empathy, symbolic reasoning, and moral judgment. Yet, without meta-linguistic scaffolding, reflection on how we use words and construct meaning, this process can be hijacked by polarizing digital environments and emotionally manipulative algorithms. From a speech and language pathology perspective, this entails reflexive dialogue on synonyms, irony, metaphor, and narrative perspective, guided exploration of how different words feel in the body, structured debates on moral dilemmas using Socratic questioning. From a Christic philosophical view, this is the training of the inner logos, the capacity to weigh truth beyond impulse, capacity to weigh truth beyond reward. Digital and neuroethical dimension is embedded neuromarketing awareness into early digital literacy curriculum. Use EEG headbands and biofeedback to teach how different types of contact affect brainwave patterns and heart rate variability. Promote meta-dialogues and how we are being influenced, even in playful media. Fourth in the line of suggestions for newborns up to age 12 to help them learn their lessons with the least amount of pain. Fourth is food as language. Nutritional phonemes for the developing cortex. Like the developing lexicon, the developing brain requires clarity, repetition, and variety. Each micronutrient is a phoneme in the sentence of cellular resonance, Processed foods act like verbal clutter, interfering with coherence, inflaming glial support cells, and reducing receptivity to emotional nuance. Historical resonance, indigenous diets were often aligned with local rhythms, mineral-rich water, and plant-based neuromodulators, cacao, maca, spirulina. Feasting and fasting were spiritual acts, aligned with cosmic and terrestrial cycles. The clinical application introduced children to nourishing foods as a sensory language. Use mealtime as a meditative, multisensory, and storytelling ritual. Reframe food as communion with Earth's body, educating on the impact of soil, water, and seed stewardship. Digital support would be use of interactive apps to trace food origins and nutrient effects on mood and cognition. Employ sensory mapping tools for children to describe food's emotional impact. The fifth suggestion is ritualized silence and active stillness. Training the witness consciousness. The child must not only speak and act, but also listen and witness. Repeat, the child must not only speak and act, but also listen and witness. Ancient initiation rites often involved silence, not as punishment, but as access to the inner temple. In modern neurology, intentional silence increases default mode activity, enhances theta waves, and supports integrative memory processes. The speech and language application is engage children in guided inner narration, asking them to describe what arises in stillness. Use movement and gesture to express states that precedes words. Explore echolalia and repetition as gateways to deeper symbolic integration rather than pathology. The spiritual relevance, Christ's consciousness arises in the gap between thoughts, not in their accumulation. Teach children to observe their feelings, observe their images, observe their impulses as clouds pass through the sky of the mind. Augmentative reality support, well, build digital sanctuaries, okay? Quiet, visually minimalist video recorded spaces with adaptive biofeedback that train inner stillness. Develop meditative rhythm games where progress is based not on speed but on coherence and inner alignment. Sixth suggestion: children must know the earth not as a backdrop, but as a living a regulator, and sacred sibling. Exposure to soil, water, sky, and plant resources modulates the entire nervous system, resets cortisol rhythms, and activates mirror neurons through multisensory engagement. Historically, seasonal festivals and planting rites connected the child's inner world to Earth's cycles. Many ancient languages did not have a separate word for nature. It was simply the way things are. A clinical imperative is outdoor therapy. Enhances expressive language in autistic and highly sensitive children. Tactile vestibular exploration in wild terrain accelerates bilateral neural integration. The spiritual significance, well, as young pilgrims reconnect with the earth, they feel part of a larger body. This kinship heals isolation and re-establishes reverence. A digital augmentation equipped children with nature mirroring wearables that translate biodata from plants, animals, or water into sound and color. Gamify ecosystem restoration projects where children earn symbolic soul points for acts of earth healing. Lastly, seventh suggestion, well, it's a sacred role. It's a pilgrimage, identity and responsibility. Every child must be invited into a sacred role by age 12, not imposed externally, but revealed through guided self-recognition. In ancient times, this was the purpose of the rites of passage. Without it, young minds become targets for artificial identities offered by consumerism, social media, or politicized belonging. Linguistic pathologist Engel observed the child's emergent narrative themes. Do they speak in heroes' journeys, in guardian roles, or healer metaphors? Use symbolic play and mythic language to refine this self-image into a living archetype. Philosophical framing: adolescence is not merely hormonal upheaval, but ontological awakening. The soul's cry for alignment. Christ consciousness becomes personal when the child says, "I am here for this reason." Neuroscientific tools use daydream journaling, role play, and visualized missions to activate the medial prefrontal cortex and posterior cingulate. The self-referencing system provides structured community service integrated with spiritual mentorship. And the digital embodiment, well, design AI mentors that echo the child's sacred path archetype, guarding their decisions with spiritual and ecological wisdom. Use blockchain based mission journals to track their evolution as Earth stewards. Conclusion: building the society worthy of our children. This is not a utopian script, but a neurospiritual blueprint. These 7 solutions, drawn from the crucible of history and anchored in embodied neurodevelopment, offer children a way forward and adults a way back. How we speak to our children is how we talk to our future. In Christ consciousness, matured beyond doctrine into direct communion, we are not escaping this world, we are redeeming it. We prepare our young to survive and lead planetary emergence through regenerative language, sacred co-regulation, mindful science, neural nutrition, metacognitive training, biophilic immersion, and initiatory purpose with service to others. Let the newborns and the 12-year-olds walk before us. They carry keys older than time. And let our tongues, our touch, our tools, and our technologies rise to meet them. You and all your loved ones are always in my prayers. Samuel Joseph Bell, civilian journalist, spiritualmag.org.